There are seasons of our life and really evaluate what's best for you at that time. But I'm in a phase of simplifying my life. Right now, my key focus is growing the Vixen Founders Collective, growing my spirituality and growing as a spiritual healer and serving God. And my third one is my health and wellness. Introducing the Vixen Voice, a podcast for ambitious women entrepreneurs ready to move into their feminine essence, live their truth, and unlock their full potential. I'm your host, April Roberts, and each week I'll be interviewing inspiring women who decided to take a leap of faith to pursue their dream. Women who believe that they were born for something bigger. Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of the Vixen Voice. I am super thrilled to be chatting with you today. And I'd love to invite you to reach out to me, by the way. I love when I hear from listeners of the Vixen Voice. You can chat with me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We are on TikTok, but I'm going to be honest, I don't go on TikTok much. And of course on YouTube at the bottom of the episodes. So I'd love to hear from you, even if it's not just about the podcast, but what do you have going on in your life right now? I just recorded an amazing panel episode on pricing your services and owning your worth with an awesome panel of women. You will definitely want to catch that one. It's so amazing. So if you haven't caught it, go look for it. I think it comes out after this episode, so watch for it. But afterwards, we just enjoyed each other so much that we sat there and kind of shared what we have going on. And 3 of the 4 of us are in an extreme busy season right now. And the 4th one was not. And it was really cool to hear the difference and the different takes on it, right? And the key is it's okay where you are. Let's talk about it and let's be honest. And so I just want to start out by, really encouraging you to find people that you can have open conversations with, especially other women, especially other female entrepreneurs, if that's what you are. And that leads me to 3 topics I want to talk about. I think these are 3 keys to success. And I like the term sustainable success in all areas of your life, right? So not just making as much money as possible or serving as many people as possible, but really living your best life. And so the number 1 key is community. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. So it's so funny. One of the guests, it was her first time on the Vixen Voice talking to us. She was introduced to me by my podcast manager. And she just was like, wow, I loved having this conversation, right? Because she's a newer entrepreneur, and being in that kind of room, it was different for her. Because let's be honest, it can be lonely when you're striving alone. And then, as Brene Brown says, not everyone deserves to know your story. You've heard me before caution, be careful who you share your story with, especially at the beginning of entrepreneurship, where you haven't developed the confidence, you haven't developed the full, I'm doing this, you haven't developed the tenacity and stamina that it takes yet. You really want to protect your business and your goals and your dreams, almost like you would a newborn baby, right? Make sure that nothing comes in that can damage. So I think finding a community where you can be open, you can be vulnerable, and people are supportive, and supportive comes in many forms. One, right? It might be holding you accountable. It might be saying, hey, here's what I heard that you said. And it might be just cheering you on, because we all need that, right? So it's kind of cool when you can share your wins with people who get it and how are excited for you. I know that's my favorite part about the Vixen Founders Collective. I love the coaching. I love being in the moment with the women. It's just, I'm getting chill bumps as I talk about it, because it's just so amazing and it fills my heart. And then I love when they share their wins because we've created a community where they're comfortable doing that. And we have a channel for posting wins. And I mean, I get so freaking happy every time I read. I'm not a mother, but I imagine that's, it comes close to what a mother's pride when their child does something great. Now, I do have nieces and nephews I think of as children, so I've experienced pride with them, but I in no way am saying that I understand the feeling of being a mother. I'm sure it's just unbelievably heart exploding. But, that is the value of community. And I think it's a key factor to success to find this community where you can be real, where you can be vulnerable, where you can talk through, hey, here's what I'm doing there. Here's what I've tried, but I haven't. One of my friends was on the podcast and I was sharing, you've probably noticed if you follow me on Instagram, but I finally found someone to do our Instagram who I love. He's a friend of mine I'm in a mastermind with, he and his team. And, I still get to create the content. Like it's me, but they take care of everything else and just do it world class. And I also hired out another function that was taking a lot of my time. And this week I was just like, this is awesome. I don't even know what to do with myself because I don't have to do these two things, right? Like, what do I do with this newfound time and energy? And my friend was like, and she has a very successful business. And she was like, you know what? I'd love to talk to you about this because I have so many horror stories. And I do too. It's not the first time I've hired out my social media, right? And it hasn't worked. Right now, I'm like, do I need to pay this person more? Which is a nice feeling because so often you feel like, oh, I'm paying you a lot and I'm not sure what I'm getting. Right? And that's the world we live in. So be that person that delivers where your client's saying, gosh, should I be paying you more? But anyway, I'm diverging from the topic. The topic was being able to have this conversation with my friend who also is a business coach. And then we've set a time to continue the conversation so that we can both figure it out and figure out what's right for us and share our wins and share our failures so that we can figure it out together. It's just so invaluable. And I think it's necessary in a world where everyone is making promises, right? I know I'm not alone in being bombarded with messages about how people can help me. And it's like, okay, great. Where's the proof in the pudding, right? We really strive to have, messages from our clients of real world wins, etc. When we're making promises. I love when my clients just share. They're our biggest raving fans, and that's incredible and amazing. And I'm their biggest raving fan. In fact, a client of mine just took headshots for me, 2 months ago. And so we just started posting, if you've noticed. And I mean, shout out to Bex Wood. She's awesome and amazing. And I'm like, it's on my to-do list to write her a testimonial because I'm so happy about it. So this is the power of community, right? A good community, a solid community where everyone is doing the best work possible. Everyone is winning. Everyone is striving to do the best, but they also want to live a good life and they want to be real. So whatever you need from community, I think really just kind of, think what you need from a community and seek one out. I would totally encourage that. It's such a key to success and it's almost a no-brainer. And by the way, I have to plug, if you're interested in the Vixen Founders Collective, just kind of DM or message me and let's set up a quick call and see if it might check all your boxes for what you're looking for in community. But, if it's not the correct one, I urge you, please find a community. And I know some of you have shared that listening to this podcast has become your community. You love hearing from these amazing women, but listening is great and taking things in, but there's so much power in voicing your voice and having a conversation with someone, right? So please keep listening. We want you to listen. We want you to get impacted, but I encourage you, interact. Let's interact with other people listening to the podcast or find a community where you can say, hey, I heard this cool podcast today. Here's what they were talking about. And you can have a conversation with someone about it. I just think that'll take you to the next level of community. So community is number one, and not just community, but the right community, right? I'll share that I was in 3 masterminds outside of my own last year. I actually joined a 4th one, and they're kind of all coming up for renewal. And one I chose not to renew. It's just not the right community for me right now, right? I wasn't putting in the effort I needed to get things out. It's a phenomenal community, but it's just not the right space for me right now. I have a lot of irons in the fire, and I have to prioritize what's important. A second one, I know, one, I get a ton of value, and 2, one of my best friends is in it with me, so I want to go see him. That's the only time I actually get to see him in person. And so that one's probably getting a check mark to continue for the year. And the third one, I'm on the fence, to be honest, because I get a ton of value. I'm just not sure if it's value in the area I need right now. And then there was a 4th one I joined, and that's, 2 people working with me now came from that community, and it's hugely valuable, right? So obviously going to continue that one. So I think it's totally good. There are seasons of our life, and really evaluate what's best for you at that time. But I'm in a phase of simplifying my life. Right now, my key focus is growing the Vixen Founders Collective, growing my spirituality and growing as a spiritual healer and serving God. And my third one is my health and wellness. So again, I'm looking at the communities and I'm saying, okay, do they support these 3 major foci that I have in my life, or do they not? And that's why it's really important to know what your priorities are, what your core values are, etc. It really helps you say yes or no to opportunities and for spending your money. Really important, because we don't want to stop spending our money because the economy is uncertain. We still want to invest in things that propel us forward, or we're going to stand still. But we definitely want to invest in the right things, especially communities. So take a look at that and find the right one for you. Second on my list of things that help you succeed is necessity. And we just talked about this in our session this week. We were talking about productivity, and I was talking about how necessity is often a key element to productivity. It came up in a challenge that one of the women was having. And, here's the deal. Most of the women, well, I'll share with you, my clients range in age from 35 to 65, right? And so most of us are at a place in our life where, it's not like we're trying to put food on the table, right? Like, we don't have that kind of necessity at this point. And maybe you do. Look, at 32, after having I made 6 figures at age 25. And at 32, I was like, how am I going to feed myself? Because I went through a horrific divorce that a lot of my money went to, right? So we all find ourselves at new places. So I'm not saying you have to be at a financially secure place right now, but most of us don't have that young and hungry situation in our lives. So you have to create that, right? I'm hungry to succeed at this so I can leave my corporate job. I'm hungry to manage my time better so I have more valuable times with my kids at home. I'm hungry to do this so I can take that trip I've been wanting to go to. My point is, you can create your necessity, right? But you want necessity and you want drive to reach a goal. It can be a financial goal. It can be a relationship goal. It can be a health goal. It can be a spiritual goal, whatever it is. I have a ton of necessity in my spiritual journey right now, right? I know the deeper I go, the more peace I have. And I think we can all agree that having peace in the world we live in today is absolutely critical to sanity, right? So I have a ton of necessity to wake up and start my day with prayer and meditation and gratitude. And there are certain songs I listen to that give me peace when it comes to things I worry about. And, I absolutely have a necessity when it comes to that. So I do not miss that ever in the morning. This morning, I was actually quite ill. I had to cancel my first 2 podcasts. I just physically couldn't do it. I still was on my knees in prayer doing what I needed to do. And, you do you, whatever that looks like for you. But that's a non-negotiable part of my morning because it's a necessity for me to have peace in my life and to show up and serve others how I wish to do and how I believe God wants me to do. So how can you create necessity and really tap into it so that the daily actions you have to take become non-negotiable, right? And the third key to success is prompted by my experience this morning. Last week, I was working 6 to 8 hours a day, and I was in spiritual training for 8 hours a day. Now, I chose that because I didn't want to miss my spiritual training, and we have a lot going on. And, by the weekend, I didn't have to work, but I still had spiritual training. And so, I had spiritual training earlier this month, so I have not had a weekend. And I'm recording this on the 22nd of August. I know it's going to air a little bit later, but I haven't had a weekend. And I think my body this morning just said, what the heck are you doing to me? This is great and awesome, but we need to rest. And I honored that. I can't tell you, having to cancel a podcast with guests is one of the most difficult choices I can make because, as you know, I love to honor people's time. I had to send the messages at 5 o'clock this morning when I realized how ill I was. And they were so gracious, and we have it rescheduled, and it's going to all work out. But I very easily could have gone the other way. But I just knew if I pushed myself, I would have been in the car at 5:30 to go do what I needed to do to be back for podcasting. My body would have rebelled on me, right? And I either would have gotten really sick or I would have crashed and burned. So I knew it was time to honor my body. There were all these things that were super important that were non-negotiables to me. And then I had to make a really tough decision. And I slept till 10:30 this morning. And I had day 2 of our 3-day challenge. I was like, nope, not letting, I gotta be there. There are women showing up who I need to serve. And so I made sure I was there and then was able to do a panel podcast in this one. And then as soon as I get off this, I'm back in bed. But, I'm shocked that I could sleep that much. That tells me my body needed it. So please, please be in tune with your body, be in tune with your mind and your emotions, and know when they're waving the red flag and honor that, because rest is so important. Had I pushed through today, I might have crashed and burned and missed all of last week. Instead, I had to reschedule 2 hours of something that I'll handle 2 weeks from now. And so really honor yourself and, think about what you need. It was funny because one of the women I actually offered tomorrow as a time, she said, no, I've been going back to back and I need tomorrow off. And I love that. I was like, thank you for honoring yourself and taking the rest you need. She's a client of mine. I know her well. She pushes hard. And I was so happy that she was taking time for herself. It really made me very happy. So, and maybe take time and sleep. Maybe take time and go see a movie. Maybe take time and just do something that you love and that brings you joy. I know last night I'm doing a cleanse for my health, heavy metal detox cleanse. And, I had to do a ton of steamed vegetables, and that sounds kind of boring, but it was really beautiful that I was just there enjoying the moment, had all these amazing, beautiful vegetables, and then I seared myself a piece of salmon. And I often don't take time to cook for myself, and just I had that going with beautiful music playing, and time just kind of stopped, and it was beautiful. And sometimes we can rest in just doing the everyday stuff or doing something different. So I really challenge you. I'm going to wrap this episode up early because, we'll be done in 20 minutes. Give yourselves 10 more minutes and sit there and just think, if I had time, what would I love to do right now? It came to me a couple of weeks ago. I was watching a show and someone said, oh, I slept till 11. And I was like, wow, how would that feel? And my whole body felt it. So I knew my body was telling me, hey, I need you to do this sometimes. And so this morning I slept till 10:30. So just spend 10 minutes saying, okay, what do I want in a community? List the factors and what you think you could get from a community. Or maybe evaluate the communities you're in and see if they're right for you or if you're looking for something different. Number 2, how can I create necessity to help me hit my goals, right? And the necessity normally lies within the purpose. Why do you want to hit that goal? And that's where you're going to find the necessity that compels you to do the stuff you don't want to do, even on the hardest days, right? And then number 3, rest. And rest comes in all forms, as I said. Maybe you do just want to try to sleep till 11 o'clock in the morning. Heck, maybe you have a family and you need to go get a hotel room one night so that you can sleep till 11 in the morning. And obviously, provide for your family, make sure everything's taken care of. Like, what would help you rest and recover? Is it sleeping? Is it doing something you enjoy? Is it getting to do something that's maybe piling up in your house that you don't have time to do, like my food prep last night, right? Just really ask yourself, close your eyes and say, if I had half a day to do what I wanted, what would I do? And don't judge, just start writing down everything that comes to your mind or your heart. And one more thing I'm going to share is if nothing shows up, then you have some work to do. Schedule 15 minutes with me and let's chat, right? Because we need to get you wanting again. Wanting is a key element of humanity. It helps us travel the path we are meant to travel. I truly believe that, our purpose here on earth. So let's make sure that you want something. All right. All right. Well, I love you all. I hope you've enjoyed today. The 3 key elements to success, I feel right now, are community, necessity, and rest. I'd love to hear from you how you're implementing this in your life. And remember, the world needs more love. How are you going to love yourself more and show up loving to others? Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey there, just popping in quickly. It's April Roberts, and I wanted to thank you for being a loyal listener of the Vixen Voice. It means so much to me. And because of that, we're going to be popping in these little announcements because I want you to be the first to know what's going on at the Vixen Gathering. So if you haven't done so yet, click the link below and check out the Vixen Founders Collective. The members who are already in are raving, and we would love to have you join us in the ultimate business consulting, networking, and personal growth community for Gen X female founders. See you there. Thanks again for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe so future episodes are automatically downloaded directly to your device. And if you want access to today's show notes, including links to all the resources we mentioned, visit vixengathering.com/podcast. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week for another episode of The Vixen Voice.